All right, everybody. Welcome back again to the Exit Your Way Roundtable with me, Damon Pistolka, Andrew Cross again, and we've got Dr. Elia Gourgouris with us today.
Wow.
I said it right.
You said it
For
right.
those of you who don't know, I butchered his name earlier today, and I feel horrible about it. We're just lucky to have Dr. Gourgouris here to talk about a little bit about the 7 keys to navigating a crisis book that they just completed, and also something I think is going to be cool: happiness at work. Great to have you here today.
It's great to be here, and your excuse because I have a Greek name. Greek names are not easy.
Well, yeah, it's like I said before we got on here. I can say Apostolopoulos, which is Khan's last name, and I've got Pistolka in mine, so I have no excuse really.
Your name is not easy either.
Yeah, I know.
Andrew Cross. Andrew, you got the easiest name.
Yeah, Andrew got the easiest one.
Yeah,
but all kidding aside, the funny names aside, or hard to pronounce names aside, not necessarily funny. You guys did something pretty remarkable this year when you started and wrote this book, and tell us a little bit about that from the amount of days from when you guys thought, oh, well, let's write a book, and then it was done.
So I had a very strong impression, like a spiritual impression. You can call it the spirit or your inner wisdom or your intuition or whatever you want to call that voice that comes loud and clear, crystal clear. It was on March 15th. Shakespeare said March 15th was "Beware the Ides of March" from Julius Caesar. It's a very special day. And basically the voice was, Elia, you got to write this book, and it's got to come out in 45 days, not in November, and certainly not in 2021.
Yeah.
And because people need this information for the pandemic now. Now, the background to that is I wrote my first book, 7 Paths to Lasting Happiness, 4 or 5 years ago, became a #1 bestseller. There it is. It took me 3 years to write this book. I'm like, 45 days, what the heck? So I called my writing partner and best friend, Coach Khan, and I'm like, hey, here's the deal. Are you in or are you out? And he didn't hesitate, not a second. He goes, I'm totally in. And the next day, March 16th, we started writing, and for 45 days, head down, basically. And the ebook came out exactly on May 1st, like we thought. And the paperback, I think, came out on May 10th. And ever since then, it's been crazy. Like every day we have a podcast, a webinar, radio interview, television interview.
Yeah.
Today, this is my 3rd one today. It's crazy. And not just in the United States, all over the world.
That's so cool. That's so cool because it's the story of writing a book in 45 days. I've got a book that I've tried to write now. I don't know. It's been like 10 years. It's not gotten anywhere. You write a chapter, you think about it, but everyone I talk to, it's a similar story. When they write their first book, it takes them a year. It takes a long time. But doing it in 45 days, you guys literally had to be just like writing, editing, rewriting, in a just amazing pace.
It's in some ways, this is the blessing in disguise of the pandemic, because in March, when this basically hit and came to our country here, I had like speaking engagements all over the world. All of them disappeared overnight. Poof, gone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, now what am I going to do? And then I had this impression. So we basically, as we'll talk later on, we navigated, we shifted from not knowing what to do to getting to work and taking action. And we really felt like this information, it's an easy book to read. I've had people, the lady, I told you this morning, a phone call with Bank of America in New York. So I'm doing working with 700 people next week with them.
Yeah.
She goes, I've read both of your books. And she's a friend. She goes, I like the Navigating Crisis better. I'm like, how come? I was almost offended. Like, my first book was #1 bestseller. How come you like the other one? She goes, I have ADD, and it took me only 2 hours to read your book. It's so easy. It's an easy book, a practical guide, and you can read it in 2 hours.
Yeah.
So,
and the practicality of it is really incredible. I mean, when you're looking at the seven keys, and the one thing, and I don't want to jump ahead, so sorry. I'm excited about the book too. I like it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So I felt like it was almost being dictated to us, and it was a paradigm shift, because in your mind, it takes 3 years to write a book. So 45 days, that's huge. It's not like going from 3 years to 2.5 years to write a book. It was 45 days. That's a big gap. But it happened. And now in my mind, because Con and I will write another book on leadership, and we've been talking about that, it's not going to take us 3 years anymore. I think we can do it if we put our energy to it and stay focused and hold each other accountable. So these are some of the tricks. And there was no ego involved. You asked me, how do we do it? No ego involved.
Yeah.
If you had a good idea, great, Con. If I had a good idea, great, Elia. We collaborated. We worked together. I'm a big picture guy, and Con is a detail guy. I hate details. I'm terrible at it. I suck at it. But no, seriously. But he's really good at that. So he was able to take my big ideas and put them into a framework that really worked.
So you didn't parse it up and go to work. You just started day one. You guys,
I mean, we did somewhat. I mean, there's some areas, obviously, from my background as a psychologist, in the past, like the self-care and all that stuff. But some of the organizational stuff, like preparation, take initiative, that's his domain.
Yeah.
He's better at that than I am. And he's written stuff like that. So we did, I mean, we all contributed to each chapter, but some chapters I did more because it's, it's my wheelhouse, and some other ones were his.
Yeah. Oh, that's very cool. That's very cool. One of the things that stuck out with me was when you talked about the critics, the bystanders, the navigators, and the victims, the critics, the bystander, navigator, and you had brought that up even before I think we were talking, before I even had the book and read it, and that's just so characteristic of those are the people that you see.
And that has become the favorite part of every interview is that. So basically, when you're dealing with a crisis, there are 4 different personality types. The first one is what we call the victim. And the victim is, poor me, why is this happening to me? I had all these plans, they're all gone. The victim, number one. The second one is the critic. And the critic basically looks, it doesn't matter what the federal, state, or local government or the World Health Organization or United Nations says, they criticize everything. For example, Andrew, you should wear a mask when you go outside. Well, that's stupid. Okay, Andrew, when you go outside, don't wear a mask. Well, that's stupid too. Like no matter what happens, you criticize everything. So that's the critic. Then you get to the bystander. And the bystander, mind you, a good person, but basically think about the deer with the headlights look, overwhelmed by all these changes that are coming as a tidal wave coming, right? They don't know what to do. So they're paralyzed in fear. They look to their neighbors, they look to the left, they look to the basically they do nothing. Yeah. And what all 3 of these personalities have in common is they provide no solution to the crisis. Now you get to the navigator. And the navigator, of course, starts off with a positive attitude, like, I know this is hard. We're down on one knee, but we will overcome this.
Yes.
Takes care of themselves, practices self-care, prepares, takes initiative, is flexible and adaptable, which is a big part of how to navigate a crisis successfully. You must be adaptable and flexible, corporate and personally, listens to that inner voice, and basically in the end helps other people because he's in a better place than they are. Now, what's crucial is every human being has all 4 of those character types inside themselves. This is very important. In other words, it's not like I'm just a navigator. Believe me, when all my speaking engagement got canceled, I panicked. Honestly, I was the bystander. Like, huh? What? And I was the victim. I was supposed to go to Europe. I had like 2 or 3 great trips planned. They're all gone. Yeah. And have I been critical of certain things the government? You're darn right I have. However, I didn't stay stuck there. And that's the message to everybody. If you're going to be a victim for an hour, get it out of your system. If you're going to be critical, criticize for an hour, but don't stay critical because that robs you of your personal happiness and wellness. You don't want to have a negative attitude the rest of the day or for a week or a month. And navigate. So I feel like this book is a byproduct of Coach Con and I navigating, switching. We had no plans to write a book this year. Do you understand? But that was never in our goal setting at the beginning of the year. Not at all.
Incredible thing about it.
We pivoted and we navigated, and in 45 days we gave birth to this book, which now has opened up all these doors that we can't even believe.
Yeah, that's just the story behind it. And I sit here just in awe because the story is so cool, and I think that it's just one of your story that came out of going through the process and turning into and becoming that navigator and doing just what you see right in front of you and how it does open new things. Because that's one of the things I think that people that are the victim, the critic, and bystander, they don't take the initiative as a navigator will. And navigators don't always know where they're going. They just know where the next step is. And
no, exactly. As a matter of fact, we didn't even know we weren't being navigators in the middle of it. It wasn't until the book ended, and then we were able to go back and reflect and say, you know what? Remember back in March, we were all the victims, and we were like being critical, and we didn't know what to do. And now this book, we actually did what we talked in the book to do, but we didn't do it like, you know what I'm saying? Not consciously. It's not like, oh, I'm navigating now. I'm the navigator. It wasn't like that. We didn't realize that until after the book came out.
Right. Yeah, you're just doing it. Organic.
Yeah, we just got to work. That's right. We put our heads down. We got to work. That was it. One step at a time.
So you've written the book before. So how, the publishing process, how's,
well, a lot easier when you have two people.
You're good at it, your experience with it. I mean, I know I hear a lot of people who really struggle learning how to get a book.
It was easier the second time around, a lot easier because I knew the process and I knew what we had to do. The minute the final edits happen, this is the other things we need to do. You got to give it to 4 or 5 people you trust for their feedback. They give you feedback, right? You have to have a final edit and another edit. You have to have somebody who formats the book. You got to get the front cover, the back cover, what's included in both, and all those things. But because I had written a book before, Con hadn't, so he didn't know anything about that. But I'm like, and because he's the detail-oriented guy, he's a perfectionist, I'm like, here's what we need to do coming up. So as we were writing the book, he was already starting to do that.
Oh, good.
Mm-hmm. So we got the book cover out with a great lady. I would highly recommend it. So everything happened in fast forward pace. It happened so quickly. I'm even astounded that it's honestly, it seems kind of weird that this book has been out now for like 2 months. It's weird.
Yeah.
What happens when you don't travel?
What's that? Yeah, it's like Star Trek. It's like Star Trek. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I tell you, one thing I want to step back to is your first book, and what you talk about a lot is happiness at work. How did you use that as you're writing the book? Because I got to imagine the pressure and everything was awful tough.
So let's be honest, it was stressful. I can't say that we were happy while we were doing it because the deadlines were like, before you know it, it's already April 1st. And we got to deliver this in 30 days. And we're just like we have just the framework of the book, but we work hard. The happiness at work to me is a much bigger issue. I started talking about happiness because when I switched over from a psychologist to a corporate executive coach and leadership training and development, I started talking about happiness like 15 years ago at work. Back then, there were no studies to support the idea that happy employees are more productive, more collaborative. There's greater retention. They're physically healthier, so they don't miss work because of they're physically in a better place. They're more loyal, great team players, and therefore make the company more profitable. When I used to say stuff like that, they were like, "Well, you're just a happiness guy. You don't really know anything about the corporate America." And I didn't, but I knew people.
Yeah.
So the great thing about now is that all these studies through Gallup and Harvard and all these studies have come out, Stanford, they've validated all the things that I was talking about. So when my book came out, it's like it really became my business card. The 7 Paths to Lasting Happiness. I don't even have business cards, honestly. It's my book. Yeah. And that opened up all these doors. And then I got to lecture around the country. And then last year it grew to London and Paris and Rome and Athens. And book got translated into Chinese, and Greek and Spanish. Wow. So today we had another podcast in Greek with Con, and the first thing they said, "Are you going to translate this in Greek as well?" I'm like, I don't know, we haven't thought about it, but maybe, might as well. Sure.
That's very cool. It's got to be very exciting for you too.
Because to me, I'm motivated, and you guys know me well enough by now. I'm motivated by making a difference in people's lives and in organizations' lives. Yeah. That's what motivates me. Mm-hmm. Is money important? Of course it's important. But money, in some ways, is the reward for a job well done. When you make a difference in other people's lives and you lift them up, or you help transform a leader who then their impact is huge across the enterprise.
Yes.
Well, that's very rewarding by itself. There's a how can I say it? An innate reward when you see people making changes and changing the culture within an organization. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I think in our company, core values, one of, our main core values is enthusiasm, which really comes down to happiness, right? And having fun, right? We enjoy what we do and get up every day. not work.
And it shows, and I feel the same way, and it shows when you guys are having fun working. I mean, of course, we all want to get compensated for the value that we bring for the work that we do. That's a given. But I no longer want to do work that I don't enjoy. I don't. Honestly, at this time in my life, at this age, you and I have gray hair, and Andrew, you're blessed not to have gray hair, so you're good. I only want to work with people that I enjoy, number one. So I only want to work with people like you guys. I want to work with people that I have fun with and make a difference, and that's it.
Yeah, likewise. Life's too short.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And we've been in that situation, so that's one of the reasons we started our own company.
Yeah, it really is. And then, the financial aspect, the money is, of course, that's important. But we got into business because we enjoyed doing it and helping companies and working with employers and people to build their life's biggest investment. And the only thing we had to do after that was just figure out a way to make a living doing it. If we can make it, of course, right there.
But think about what a benefit you do with your company. You're helping other companies. Yes, this is their baby. A lot of them were startup companies, and then they built them. And this is like, and now they have to transition and get bought out by somebody else and move on, which is not an easy transition, as you know. All the MAs are tough, man. Cultures are tough when you blend culture.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal. And even a small business, it's a big deal. It's the biggest thing they'll ever do.
Oh yeah.
They'll sell 4 or 5 or build houses, and those are big transactions. That's a big deal, but they'll do that 5 or 6 times in their lives. But this thing comes along once, and it's so it's very cool to be able to work with people in that important transaction and have that kind of trust to help them do it. That makes us feel.
And on the other side of it too, it's cool for us to get to work with people like yourself that are so good at inspiring people and just doing it. It just makes it even more fun, because we've got the role that if we're going to do our work really well, we have to know people like you that can help these companies and these people be their best selves going forward, wherever that forward is. And it's so much fun. And it's been a real joy to get to know you and Con and read the book and learn more about you guys and just do it. It's so cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is. I mean, as a business coach, and I don't think anybody as a broker, an investment banker on the M&A deal side is, working with business coaches, and I'm like, this is a perfect fit. I mean, you help them, as a coach, navigate through all the, all the landmines and all the things and all the problems they face, on a day-to-day basis in their business. Why not at the most important phase, which is when they're transitioning out?
Yeah, and people say, well, what is your role exactly? How would you describe what you do? I'm like, well, that's not easy. Basically, a corporate positive psychology accountability coach. How's that?
Yeah.
That's basically it. I get to know what your issues are. I give you the tools to help you navigate better. Then I hold you accountable. And that's the deal. It's not like the doctor's up here and you're down here. I say we're 50-50 partners. But if you tell me the dog ate my homework 2 times in a row, you're fired.
That's great.
I'm like, look, don't waste your money, your time or my time.
Yeah.
Ready to do this. Let's do it right the first time. We don't want to come back 6 months later and rehash the same stuff, the same struggles you have right now. Again, nobody wants that kind of pain. This is a difficult, stressful time in your life. Let's do it right, so you're proud. So when you truly exit, you're proud of the way you behaved. You're proud of the way you handled it with your employees. And you're handing off to another person, another company to take off and do their own thing. And you wish them well without any resentments and without any anger and without any stress and frustration. So I help them in that, in between, basically.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. And they can feel a sense of pride walking away from the business with something they've left and done, which it's just not, and I think a lot of them feel like, oh, that's it. I got a deal done. Yeah. There's a financial transaction, and that's all they ever talk about.
It's not easy letting go, though. You know that. It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
It's a lot easier to let it go if you understand what you want to do next and you have something to do next that's important, and that that it's left in good hands. right? With people who've got help.
Raise buyer's remorse. There's also seller's remorse.
Oh yeah.
So even though they hired you initially, they're excited to sell. You know that. I'm talking to the choir.
Yeah.
They want to sell. Well, I'm not sure if I want to do this. And you're like 3/4 into it. And you're like, we're almost closing the deal. We're like closing escrow in like 30 days. What do you mean? We've been working this for a year and a half. Well, I'm not sure if I want to. I don't really feel comfortable. So you have to hold their hand. And Damon, you and I talked about this. Hold their hand while they transition. And Andrew, you're right. You have to shift their focus to not what they're leaving behind, but what they're moving towards in the future. Yeah. Why are you doing this? Because you wanted to spend more time with your family or your grandkids, or because you want to start a new company, whatever it is, maybe. Remind them why. Because at some point they get insecure. They're like, hold it, I don't want to do this.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's great because, and unfortunately, we get a lot of people who call us business owners who want to sell for all the wrong reasons. They're burned out, the sales are declining, they got people problems, in the organization, and they just want to be done with it. It's like, and you have to, we work really hard on and say, hey, let's see if we can pivot this back to selling it for the right reasons, which is, you're selling a great company that other people want.
And a lot of times they'll say, I'm burned out, everything you said, but I'm also burned out. I don't want to manage people anymore. I don't want to have employees anymore. I'm done. I don't want the drama. I've been doing it for 25 years. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
So that's true.
Yeah, it happens. That's why we constantly talk about, think about it way ahead of time before you get there, because it's difficult. Buyers, when someone comes in to look at a business opportunity to buy, they can smell all that stuff. They can smell it on you. If you're burned out, they don't want to buy a business to be burned out, So.
But I also come in and help with the employee aspect of it. And that's where the happy employees basically. So by the time the sale is done, the employees are re-energized, not in fear mode, because there's a new guy coming in who's going to cut them out and bring his own people in, because there's a lot of fear also when there's
uncertainty and change,
and convey to them, things will change. Change is the normal part of life. We all have to embrace change, and help them to navigate and to be flexible and adaptable to the new owner that's coming in. So that's a whole different aspect of not for the owner that's selling, but for his people who are staying behind.
Yeah. Oh, that's an excellent point. It makes me think that when we do work on some deals in the future here because it's not just the owner, right?
It's not the owner, no, because
the employees are one of the largest assets in the business, and then they don't know that. You have to realize you're one of the reasons that the buyers want to buy this company, because you're a stakeholder in this too. So there's opportunities, so if you can get them in the frame of mind, you don't have to worry, transition. What you need to think about is, there's a bright future.
As a new buyer, on the other hand, the last thing you want is to have good talent that exists in the company jump ship just before the sale is done, because then that diminishes the value of the company you're buying. So you want
to, even to the point where that's the contingency of the sale is the retention of those employees.
Right.
So we don't even get a deal done unless we can go, the buyers are that concerned about it. You're exactly right. They want to do everything they can. You can't make them stay, but you want to do is, and you don't want to make them stay. You don't want them to run away, but you want them to say, they need to understand and see where their future is and how that,
how's it going to be good for them? Yeah,
it's going to be good for them. And if it's not, then they probably don't want to do the owners shouldn't do the transaction anyways.
I mean, you don't want the employees to stay at hostages, basically. You have to. You want them to be excited for the changes that are coming and embrace the new ownership. So that's another transition. Actually, the one is keep them there, happy, engaged, and excited. And then when that transition happens, and I don't know if you guys do that or if you wash your hands once the sale is over, help the new company owner, re-engage or reconnect with the existing employees from the company he just bought.
That is one of the things.
Your way, I would think most investment bankers and brokers do. They're done as soon as the deal comes. They're on their way. We don't do that.
We aren't that way.
Because we're involved with the business owner, with them, and as operators and that kind of stuff too. Yeah, often we actually can help facilitate the transaction because of the transition work we're able to help with clients on the way through.
And with
that takes a lot of risk away from both sides.
with the buyers, we'll actually stay on with the buyers after the deal, and that gives them some comfort that we have become very familiar before, and we're there through and after. And it also gives the employees a common face, if nothing else.
Yes.
And that seems to help a lot.
We service what we sell.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good way to say it.
I love that. That's kind of unique, actually, because I would say, we stay on for 6 months, make sure the transition is in good hands, and then at some point, obviously, they have to graduate and fly. Like,
exactly that way. So, well, Dr. Elia, it's been great talking to you, and I man, just so grateful that you could get on with us today. This is your third one or fourth one today. I don't want to keep you much longer, but hey, if you haven't, if someone's listening out there, listen to this later. 7 Keys to Navigating a Crisis, Dr. Elia Gourgouris, Con Apostolopoulos, and man, we're just so appreciative.
Available on Amazon, right? Because that.
Correct. Yep.
Very good.
We'll look forward to collaborating more in the future together. We got great things coming up. I'm very excited for the future. Actually, I've never been more excited than I am right now because, and again, the book was for individuals initially, not for a company. We didn't anticipate what's happening right now. So I feel like I'm sharing it with you because it's happening as we speak right now. Every day, another door opens up. We're like, holy cow.
That's so cool. And we feel the same way,
People aren't laying down here. They're not done. Everybody knows that this is going to end, and we're going to get up and dust ourselves off and get back to work.
Yeah.
And be better. I think even better. There's adjustments that we're making it through being adaptable to the new changes. And, we used to call it the new normal. People hate that term. It says the next normal.
Yeah.
The next normal. So there'll be a next normal in the fall and then a next normal in 2021. So we're excited for that. And I think we can navigate successfully and truly thrive. I don't want to just survive. Let's just survive no, forget that. Thrive.
Yeah. Yeah. The heck with it. Let's thrive through this.
That's
well,
right.
Great stuff, Dr. Elia. Thanks for being here. And until next time, we will talk soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Damon. Talk to you later.
See ya.